Derick Gant is a financial expert, performance coach, author, and speaker with over 30 years of experience. In 2019, he published the 24K Life Code, the only difference between mediocrity and greatness. The book guides others step by step to deliver their personal best and live the results they deserve. In addition to his companies, Gant Group LLC and Gant Investment Advisors, Derick leads a vibrant online community. 24K Life is a community of high achievers and entrepreneurs working to eliminate limiting beliefs and habits that block success. The community's intent is to create a thriving environment of accountability and excellence, resulting in personal and business profits. Welcome to the show, Derick.
Well, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I'm very glad to be here. Our universes line up very well, so I'm excited to have a conversation with you.
Great. Derick, tell us, what is the best way of building wealth?
Building wealth is a very tedious event. So the best way to build wealth is to make sure you are loaded to the gills with some patience. And I know that's not what people want to hear. Most people, as an investment guy, most people want to know, how can I get 10% on my money? How can I double my money? And, those opportunities, to me, based on my 30 years of experience, are really self-driven. And what I mean by that is that if you go out and you write a book, and you spend $5,000 writing a book, you can double that if you go out and hustle and find that enough people to buy your book. But when it comes to the market, when it comes to investing, it's a slow crawl. It's a 7 to 12% per year, which means that you shouldn't be focused on that. You should be focused on how can you increase your income and decrease your debt.
Yeah, so it's basically spending less than what's coming in.
Yeah, you have to have that disparity. It is, if you want to start somewhere, you need that leverage, that room, in order to start building up enough momentum so that you can invest in those opportunities that will double your income.
Yeah. Now, it's one of the major stress factors in people's lives, the spiraling debt,
Yeah.
especially credit card debt,
Yes.
which is increasing incrementally in many households, not only in the US, but in most countries, actually.
Mhm.
How do you get out of that habit of spending more than you're earning?
Yeah, it's a tough habit to break. It's like smoking or having any other addiction, and because we have been programmed globally to spend. I mean, it's always, hey, you need to get this now. The FOMO, for those of you that don't know what that is, it's the fear of missing out. So you fear you're missing out on this sale, you fear you're missing out on this one lifetime opportunity to buy these special Michael Jordan shoes. And so, how you get out of it is that you take an honest look at your current situation. So you have to go to your bank account or wherever you keep your financial records and really just do an analysis, do a financial self audit on where your money's going and where it needs to go, number one. So what bills are critical, your house, your mortgage, your car, your electricity, your utilities, and what's not critical, your Amazon drop deliveries, you're ordering food out. And, I don't think that you can save your way to wealth. I really don't. I think that, but you have to have a place to start so that you can start building some momentum, stacking some cash, so that you can then use that cash to gain some leverage by investing in some other things.
What is your advice on investment?
Well, I believe in this current market that hard assets are the best investments. So that being said, the easiest hard asset is real estate. The market, at least domestically, you can cherry pick opportunities across the world. And I won't mention any of them because it goes against, obviously official practice to actually give a recommendation in a scenario like this. But what I will say is there are parts of the country that are doing, of the world that are doing extremely well, and you can invest through iShares in those companies. But I am not a huge fan right now of putting your money in the stock market if you're looking to get, like these massive returns. If you're looking to get 5 to 10% return, then putting money in the market is a great place. It's 5 to 7 or 5 to 10% is not a bad return, but it is like watching paint dry. So imagine having $1,000 and you get 5% on it. I mean, you got $50 and you're not gonna, go swinging on the trees because you just made a ton of money.
Yeah. So the property market is one pillar. Of
Mhm.
course, only a short while ago, a lot of people were recommending crypto, and we know where that's gone.
Yeah, and I've as an investment guy, I don't have to, it's my belief that if you're going to provide a service, an excellent service, then you need to know about it. And most things, in order to know, you have to do it. So I bought crypto early, and I watched it for a long time, and I derived that crypto in this current state is not an investment, right? It's not, first of all, it's not monetary exchange, but it's also not ultimately going to be an investment. It's going to be a means of currency exchange globally. And therefore, right now, it's being treated like a commodity, it's being treated like an investment. And there's no value behind it other than what the creator says it is.
Yeah, yeah. But looking at it quite frankly, I mean, any investment always carries a risk. I mean, you remember the 2008 housing crisis. Now everyone's looking at China, at what's happening there with the property
Right.
market. So
Mm-hmm.
nobody knows exactly where it's going, and there's a lot of skepticism on where the stock market is going.
Right.
And putting your money on a savings account is not the solution either.
No, it's not. No, but if you look at 2008, 2000 actually started in '07, but if you start looking at that era where the real estate market just took a total dump, the investors that were properly leveraged made it through. They probably had a worse time during the pandemic when at least domestically people didn't have to pay their rent because they got a little moratorium. They probably fared worse during that time than the people that were properly leveraged in 2008, 9, and so forth. But if you look at a property in '08 and you priced it out today, you've probably doubled your money, depending on where you bought.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, the
Because
location is
yeah,
decisive. Yeah,
because those properties tanked. You had $300,000 properties going for $125,000. You buy it at 125, is back to the original value plus some growth, depending on where you bought, and that's a great investment. So, of course, there's no certainty in anything, but if you do your homework and if you take the conservative route, because if it's too good to be true, guess what? I'm 57. If it's too good to be true, I've learned it's too good to be true.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Now, the whole issue of financial security of money is very closely connected to self-worth,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
self-development. And what advice would you give to people who are an average wage earner and want to get out of their negative financial situation?
Yeah, as it pertains to the self-worth and your image, it's hard to say, but it's true. You're gonna have you need to show up to this podcast and listen to some of the amazing guests that have been on here that are talking about, what the real core of life is about. Right. I mean, that's the whole point of your podcast, which is how can you live your best life? How can you be great? How can you be well? How can you be healthy? And so attaching what you own, attaching how much you make to your self-worth is ridiculous, because there are millionaires that are living check to check because all of their money is invested in hard assets or other assets. They don't have any cash flow, and a couple bad 4 months and they are swimming backwards. So it's not what you make, it's what you keep. So I would encourage these individuals that you've mentioned to, number one, focus on what you're able to do. Are you able to have a meal without worrying about the lights, the gas, the electric? Are you able to make your house and your car payment? And if you can get past those core amenities and still have a financial spread that allows you to take a trip or two a year, that allows you to facilitate maybe supporting a charity or two here. I mean, that's the gift that we all are here for, to help one another. And as you're doing that, I believe all of those good things leads to more good things. So it'll lead to raises, and it'll lead to, other opportunities, investment opportunities. And so, you asked me twice, so I'm going to make sure I answer you. They really should take a serious look at what they're spending. They should take a serious look at what they need to spend on. And then maybe you go on a financial diet for 3 to 6 months so that you can stop the crazy, extraordinary spending. You go on a financial diet to see what you can really do. What are you getting back in the form of a refund? What are you getting in your bonuses? And are you spending those before you get them? Or are you putting them away and just sitting on them for a little while to create more and more personal comfort and less financial stress?
Exactly. Now, a lot of the habits of overspending are so closely connected to addiction. And we know that buying a new car, buying a new outfit, that novelty soon wears off, and
Exactly.
then you buy a new thing. Now, changing that mindset, that addiction mindset, into a mindset of financial freedom. Obviously, you've got a system in place.
We do.
Can you go into that a bit?
What I will say is that the first thing that I'll say is that, if you're addicted or have a problem with spending, and it makes you feel better, then what you really want to do is treat it like any other addiction, smoking, alcohol, or anything else. You have to, number one, admit you have a problem. Number two, you have to want to do better, because I'm not here to drag anybody along to wanting to do better. If I have to drag you along, that means I have to drag you along life. And that means that you're not going, as soon as I stop dragging you and pulling you along, you're not going to do it. So you have to have this deep desire to want to have some wealth, to want to be financially secure. That's the first thing. And then you have to put a system in place. And our system, what we do is we clearly delineate between what is what we call a general fund. So we treat everybody like a corporation, and every corporation has a general fund. So what's a general fund and what's CEO pay? So what's allocated for you to go to the movies, to go to dinner, to take your lady out, to buy your man a new tie, to get your hair and your nails done. So we separate those funds, like physically separate those funds. So we identify like what's a bill, and that goes into one account, and what's spending, that goes into a separate account, and then what's vacation, and what's for house repairs, and what's for the new car. And so give you an example. Let's say that you separated this money like we suggest, and we're walking you through this process, and you and your spouse want to go on vacation. And he says, well, I want to go on a cruise, and it's going to be $3,000. And she says, well, I want to go to Paris, and it's going to be $8,000. All you got to do is look in the account, the vacation account, and see what's in the account. And that will tell you what you get to do. And there's no more fighting, because you're not saying, no, you can't, or yes, you can. You're saying, what do we have? If we have it, we can do it. If we don't have it, we have to wait until we get there, or we have to take this lesser vacation.
Yeah, exactly. And that of course demands discipline.
It demands this, but discipline is freedom. And people, see, we've been lied to about all these little things. Discipline is freedom. When you know that you're putting money in a pot for your fun and your play, and you're disciplined enough to do that, guess what you get? You get fun and play.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Now,
when you're
now
go ahead.
in your program, you mentioned the 66-day process. How did you
Yes.
get onto the 66 days?
Well, I used to be an adjunct professor, and I taught professional development in a local college. And during my teachings, I found that the research on creating a new habit had changed. Originally, it's 21 days to create a new habit. But the new science says that it takes 66 days to create a habit. And what you really want to do is you want to create a habit that's the opposite of the habit you're trying to break. So, so if you're spending a lot of money, then you don't want to spend any money. You want to say, I'm going to be very detailed about how I spend my money. And you want to do that for a few months. I personally, and the science says it depends on the habit you're trying to break as well. But I believe that it takes 365 days to create a new lifestyle. I think it takes that long to create a new lifestyle. So you can create a new habit, but if you really want to turn that into the just being who you are, just doing what you do at a high level, you need to continue to do that. Practice that for a year.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, yeah. And that is not easy. For most
Oh
people,
no,
definitely not easy. Uh,
no.
well, I'm a great proponent of physical exercise, and I tell people try first with small steps. Do your 2,000 steps a day, and then gradually increase that. And I think that's also in some ways financial advice. Start saving a small amount each month, and then gradually
Yes,
increase that amount month by month, just like you're training for a marathon.
absolutely. And it just becomes who you are. So when you do your 2,000 steps, you're no longer afraid of doing 2,000 steps. And so now you're willing to do 2,200 steps. So you're 100% correct. And that's why the very first question, my very first reply is that you have to be patient, because it takes time, it takes consistency, and there's no way around it unless, Uncle Harry leaves you a couple $1,000,000.
Yeah, and there's not many Uncle Harrys around.
Exactly. That is exactly right.
Yeah, yeah. And the interesting thing also about the lottery winners, I don't know if you know about this research, people who suddenly inherited a huge
I
amount of
do.
wealth or
Right.
had a lottery win, that they, after a short period of time, fall back into their spending habits and lose it
Absolutely.
all.
Within 5 years, 85%
How do you
lose it
explain
all.
that?
Well, it's simple, right? We watch these athletes and we watch, entertainers and people who come into sudden wealth. They do what they do with what they know. And so if you don't have a money system, if you don't have appreciation of assets, then you're going to revert to who you are and what you know. And when you don't know how to manage really large sums of money, because just think about it this way: people you were talking about, the middle income earner, they don't have a financial advisor. They usually don't have financial advisors. They don't have people. They might have an insurance agent and a banker, but they don't have anybody giving them advice. And then you go look at, a Mitt Romney. I'm mentioning him because he was in presidential races over the last 10 years. And this guy had 5 or 6 financial advisors, CPAs and financial advisors. And so the theory should go, people with money hire people that know about money to help them keep the money. And people without money don't hire somebody to tell them, number one, how to get the money, how to keep the money, and then how to grow the money. So it's really interesting that, we get brainwashed into thinking, well, I don't have a bunch. I don't need anybody to help me because I don't have anything to get help with, but you do.
Yeah, yeah. The interesting thing also is that a lot of our money habits come from our family systems.
Yep.
Money is evil. If you have lots of money, you're a bad
Yeah.
person.
Right. Yeah.
But to change that perspective into a mindset of, if I have a lot of money, I can give a lot of money away for good
A
things.
hundred. Absolutely. Absolutely. We can't cherry pick what we pull out of the Bible or what our parents believed, because, our parents didn't know anything and they were archaic and they came from the Depression and all the things. And so scarcity was the modus operandi of the day, not abundance, not prosperity. And so I think that as we spread out our vision of what abundance and prosperity is, which is love, relationships, friendships, health. Like you said, you're a big component of health, but abundance and prosperity are all of those things. And the money is a measure to make more of those things happen. So I think you're 100% right. You have to take a look at where you adopted your money mindset from. My dad used to say, "Money don't grow on trees," and
Yeah,
push me,
yeah. Another good
push me out
one.
of the way.
Another good
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah. And so, as a financial advisor, I took those things excruciatingly seriously, which is how I became a money advisor, because the money conversation was so poor and negative in our household that I just didn't want to live under that stress. So I figured I'd learn about it and do it. And even when you do that, you still hold on to, if you don't change the route, you still succumb to those habits when you're young. So I had to learn midway through the game, let's say in my 40s, that is not how much you make, because I was making a ton, it's how much you keep. So I stopped spending all that money and buying big houses and new cars and all the crazy things, and start stacking more to be able to do more, to give more, and help more people.
Exactly. One of the books I found truly fascinating was Think and Grow Rich.
Absolutely.
Do you
Napoleon
have?
Hill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you have any other literature you could recommend for our
I,
listeners?
I love Think and Grow Rich. I've read Robert Allen's book, No Money Down. It's a real estate book. It's kind of antiquated. Of course, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And one that people may not have heard of is The Millionaire Mindset by T. Harv Eker. And it's Ecker, T. Harv Eker. It's a good book as well. And of course, the 24K Life Code. You got to grab a copy of that. And we talk about high performance across the board, but we also have three chapters in there on money.
Okay. Tell us a bit about your 24K community that
Absolutely.
you mentioned.
What I figured out is that in my journey of delivering financial advice and helping people along the way, I learned early that there was a lot of people that couldn't afford the advice. And so what I did was I created this community of people that are serious about seeking a better life. And I don't want to say rich, but better life. So 24K is in our community, and the people in our community represent the process that gold has to go through to become pure gold. And you have to heat pure gold up excruciatingly hot to get rid of the nickel, to get rid of the iron, to get rid of the lead, to get rid of the copper. And what we need to do is take ourselves through that fiery process of getting rid of the laziness, getting rid of the bad habits, getting rid of the spending, getting, all the things that are weighing us down against what we say we want. And I believe, just from observation, that when we become the best version of ourselves, and you talk about this yourself, when we become our best version and we're operating at our highest level, society has proven it cannot stay away. Society wants to be a part of anything great, anything good, anything exceptional. And that's what you were saying earlier, how hard it is to do. And it's true it's hard to be disciplined, but that's why the people that are disciplined are running things. They run things. They own things. They don't rent. They lend. And so as we go through this process, this 24K process, we encourage people that are going through the process, and they might be stuck, or they might have be surrounded by naysayers or haters, if some people might call them. Get surrounded by a group of people that are doing the same thing you are. You're trying to get in better shape. They're trying to read more books. They're trying to elevate their mind. They're trying to elevate their money, and they're trying to live a great lifestyle, not one of mediocrity.
Exactly. Yeah, it's basically increasing your vibrational energy. You have more vibrational energy, that creates a magnet that attracts abundance.
Absolutely.
It's so simple, really.
It is. I was thinking about this just the other day. The saying, the rich get richer. That's how they do it. They live in this vibration. They live in this zone that just continuously attracts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And such an important message that you're putting out there, Derick. And I really want to acknowledge you for the work you do. And how can people connect with you? How can they get to know you? Where do we send them?
Yeah, if the easiest thing that people can do is just go to DerickGant.com. It's DerickGant.com. And we have our YouTube access there. We have our coaching programs there. We have our one-on-one services. The community, if you want to become a part of the community, is there. So everything that we do is in that one hub and can help you, figure out where to unlock your code. And even in the book, the code is all personal, right? What it takes for you to be amazing is not what it takes me to be amazing. You might get up at 4 a.m, and I might get up at 6. But if I get up at 4, then I'm dead by 3 and I'm no good to anybody. So we have to all figure out where our zone of excellence is. And the book is not about how I did it. It's about the tools that you can use to figure out how to crack your code.
Great. Yeah, great message. And we'll put it out in our show notes at the bottom of
Thank
this
you.
podcast.
Thank you.
It was so great talking to you, Derick.
It was great talking to you too. I love talking and connecting with like-minded individuals, because together we can make some significant change.
Absolutely.